Hello, my name is Kayla Weaver, and I'm a CPA at Arndt & Company CPAs. In this video, I'll be going over the chart of accounts in QuickBooks Online, primarily just the basics and setup and some helpful tips and tricks. So I've got my QuickBooks Online sample company file pulled up here. We're going to first navigate over to chart of accounts. So if you go to accounting on the left-hand side, and then select chart of accounts, or you can select on accounting itself and then select chart of accounts up here if it didn't default to that. You will see all of the different accounts that you've got set up already in QuickBooks Online. It first categorizes it by account type, that's the default. So you've got your assets, your liabilities, your equity, and this makes up your balance sheet accounts. Then you've got your income and expenses, which makes up your profit and loss accounts. So that's the default way to sort everything. You can also click here on name if you want it to go alphabetical, A to Z. Click on it again, Z to A. But we're mostly going to look at account type because that's how we prefer to look at it, with the balance sheet accounts first and then profit and loss. Whenever you first set up your QuickBooks Online, it gives you some starter accounts. You may or may not need those, and you may need to make some edits. You may need to add some new ones. So let's first go see how we can add a new account. I'll show you a couple of different ways. So if you're already in the chart of accounts, you can come up to this green button here and select new. You'll have a new dialog box pop up here. For account type, this is extremely important. You want to make sure you select the correct one of these. So you can scroll through here. We're going to set up a new expense account. So we're going to select expense. You can then select your detail type. They have some of the common types of expenses here, but if you don't see the one you're needing, or if it doesn't fall under one of these general expense types here, you can click other business expenses. That's kind of my catch-all, and then type in your account name here. So we're just going to call it this. I would never actually use this name, but for ease here, we're just going to call it new business expense. If you want to enter a description to kind of remind you what kind of charges would go into this account, you can do that here. And if you have account numbers enabled, then you would have another box here where you could type in your account numbers. Otherwise, your reports are going to go by account type and then alphabetical. So if you're wanting it organized in a different way, you can use account numbers. We usually like the alphabetical sorting, at least for most small businesses, but there are some it definitely makes sense if they're using, for different, maybe internal purposes, they have different numbers set up where they actually use account numbers. Then you'll need to see, is this a new parent account where it's a standalone account? Potentially we'll have things under it in the future, or is it going to go under a parent account? So if it's a sub account, if it's already got a parent, you can scroll here and see, for example, like this maintenance and repair, this is a parent account, but they also have some sub accounts for different types of repairs. So if they don't want to stick it just under general maintenance and repair, they want to know what kind of repair was it, building, computer, or equipment. So that's what the sub-accounts can be used for, just kind of to give an extra level of detail beyond just a general expense. But we're going to go ahead and say this one is just its own account here. So you can unselect it there, and you can see it grays it out. So I'm going to save and close, and it has now been added. So we can go scroll down to our expense section, and we can see here it is, new business expense. So that is one way to add a new account. If you are currently working in the bank feeds, maybe categorizing some transactions, you can actually do it directly in the bank feeds as well. So you can go through here, and let's say for this expense we didn't have anything set up yet. You look through and say, these aren't what we wanted. You can click this add button, and then go through the same prompts where you add your account type. We'll just go ahead and do another one here. We'll just call it example new, all these, and then save and close. And you can see it went ahead and kept it here. If it didn't, then you would just be able to go ahead and start typing. And there we go, it added it, done. So those are two of the nice ways to add a new account. You can also do it directly from, if you're working like in a bill or an invoice, you can do it in there as well in certain instances, but those are the two main ways that we like. Chart of accounts or directly on the bank feeds. So now we're back in the chart of accounts. I want to just go over real quick how to delete an account. So let's go back down to that one I just made, example new, and say, oh, we didn't actually need this, or maybe we've used it for a while and we don't think we need it anymore. You can go over here, click on this drop down button and click make inactive. So now this has removed it from our listing. We won't see it anymore, but it will keep the historical data. So if you had transactions that were categorized to that account in the past, it's going to stay there. If you were to run a report, that account name would show up. It would just have a little parentheses next to it that said deleted. So now it's cleaned up our accounts here in the chart of accounts, but it's not going to remove historical data, which of course is important. We don't want to remove anything like that. Let's say that we set up 2 accounts and we didn't mean to. Let's say we set up an office expenses account, and then I'm going to change the name of this one for our purposes here. And let's say we set up one that was office expenses. We didn't realize we had it and we accidentally typoed. That's happened before. So now we've got 2 office expenses accounts. You can merge an account into another one. You'll just have to make sure that it's the same type. So these are both expenses, and then it's the same detail type. So like a moment ago, this was under other business expenses, and I switched it to be office in general. That way it would match the one I'm trying to merge it into. So I obviously want to keep this one. This is the one where it's spelled correctly. So I'm going to just go ahead and do a copy here. That way I can easily paste it. Here's the one I want to change. So we're going to edit, go over here and edit that one. Like I said, these have to be the same types on the ones you're going to merge into. Paste, or you can just type it in here. Here's the one that's getting merged. We want it to be called office expenses with only one S there at the end, and hit save and close. So you can see it says that name's already being used. Would you like to merge? Yes. So anything that we had under the first account, the office expenses, that was misspelled, now have been moved into the office expenses account. We've only got one. We don't have the duplicate anymore. So that can be nice, especially if you accidentally, like I said, make a new account. You didn't realize you already had one. You can just easily merge it into the other one. So let's kind of go over the naming conventions. Like, how do you want your accounts to be set up? So there's kind of 2 main perspectives that you'll want to use whenever you're setting up your different accounts that you're using. The first would be from a management perspective. So for example, you can see on this account, they've got an income account that's called landscaping services, but they've set up some sub-accounts. So they felt that it was important to know from their landscaping services how much is getting billed for job materials and how much is getting billed for labor. They want to see that breakout. And then they actually take it a step further and say, of the job materials, what kind of job materials am I getting paid for here? And of the labor, how much is it for installation versus how much is it for maintenance and repair? This is purely for their management purposes. So whenever they're running like a profit and loss report, they could go and see not only their total income, but what their income comprises. Maybe they can see the areas they're doing really well. Maybe they can see the areas they're needing to get a little bit better at, charge a little bit more. It makes it a little easier whenever you have certain accounts set up like that. And that you can come back here to the expense section and have the same idea. So like here, they don't just have job materials. Again, they went ahead and did it a step further to know what kind of job materials. That way they can see how much they're paying for these different job materials, not just one lump. So that's really from the management perspective. It's more up to you on what you think would be useful whenever you're looking at your financials. Now the other perspective is a tax perspective. So if you have your financials ready to go where your CPA or whoever can get that tax return filed, it's going to make it a lot easier. So how can you figure out what kind of account name should be being used? Some of it's just knowing a little bit about the taxes themselves, but you can also look at the type of return that you're getting prepared and look at what they've already set up as defaults. So let me show you what I mean here. Here I've got a Schedule C. So if you're filing under a Schedule C on your Form 1040, you could pull this up and see what kind of default accounts do they already have set up. I'm not gonna look as much in the income section here. You can see you've got gross receipts and sales. So like I showed you how they had landscaping and they broke that down. For your tax perspective, they don't care. They just want to know the total income, and you put it here. You also have your cost of goods sold in this line. So again, if you're looking at the different types of materials, they don't care how much you spent on type A versus B versus C. They just want the total here. But the main section I want to look at is your expenses section. So you can see the different types of expenses that they already have set up on your tax return. So if you already have something that falls under one of these specific expense types, I would say it's probably a good idea to go ahead and use that type of naming convention, as long as it's not going to throw you off too much on your management perspective financials. So this is one really good place to start. You can make sure you have these different accounts set up. That way, it's really easy. You'll know if on your profit and loss you have an advertising, here's where that goes. For anything that doesn't fall within one of these, they have this other expenses line where they put the subtotal here. So on page 2 of this, actually, you can see the other expenses. So you would have all the different categories that they didn't have set up on that first page fall here, and then the subtotal goes to this first page. So you're definitely not limited to only these accounts. They know there's a lot more beyond that. These are just some of the most common ones. So this is the Schedule C, and then I'll just briefly pull up the partnership return, Form 1065, kind of the same methodology here. You can look at the different expense they have set up here, these different expense account types. And the same thing with an S corporation, Form 1120S. You can see here the different types that they have set up. And they of course have that other line item as well, where you can add any beyond these just general ones they have, so that you can formulate your profit and loss to be whatever you need it to be. So those are the two kind of ways you can work to form these different account types here. Just looking at it, what's helpful for you, and then what's helpful for once you prepare the tax return. And then I mentioned it's also important to know a little bit about taxes, because, for example, if you know that meals are typically 50% deductible, then you could have an account that's meals and 50% deductible. Like for me, let's go down to this one because I don't like this. We're going to change this to be meals, and then I'm just going to put 50%, because this reminds me that anything in this category is meals that are going to be 50% deductible. That's typically what you're going to have for taxes is meals that are 50% deductible. Now, as part of the COVID relief, they actually said that starting January 1 of 2021, for about 2 years, meals are going to be 100% deductible if they're at a restaurant. So if you know that, you can go ahead and set up a new account type for meals. That way you can start separating anything that would fall into the meals 100%. Those are for restaurants. I like to put that little reminder. Now whenever you're going to categorize your transactions, you could separate them between the meals that are 50%, which are the non-restaurants. So maybe you buy a sub sandwich at a convenience store one day, you'd stick it under here. Whereas maybe another day you took a client out to a restaurant, you could put it here. So that's kind of what I mean by a tax perspective as well, is if you've already got the account set up, it can help kind of expedite the process, and it can help you if you're planning, because you'll know you can take 100% of this category, but you're only going to get a 50% benefit or tax deduction on this category. So just kind of an extra step that you can take. It's not 100% necessary. As long as you've got the general expense correct, you can always run a report if your CPA or accountant asks for it, and they can probably figure out from there, asks more questions to get to the correct place. But if you're able, especially whenever we're helping people with their accounting, we know the tax side as well, we're going to go ahead and set these accounts up just so it makes more sense. And like I said, then you're able to expedite the process. We know we can take everything in this account and only 50% of this account. So that is kind of the basics of the chart of accounts. Real quick to finish up here, if you need an export of your chart of accounts, sometimes you'll need them, like if you're trying to get payroll journal entries or things like that, they might ask for it. You can come over here. Oops, wrong button there. You can actually say print it like this, or you can run this report here. and export it to Excel as well. So that would be one way to go ahead and export all of your accounts. Or if you're just trying to look over everything in a little bit, maybe you like to print it out, you could export to PDF or print right here. So there's kind of one last helpful hint right there. So that is all I've got for the chart of accounts. Just like I said, some basics on helping you kind of navigate the chart of accounts, how you can create new ones, merge, inactive or delete old ones, and kind of how you might want to go about setting up your different categories. So I hope that's helped. You can see some other QuickBooks Online videos as well, and we'll be coming out with more in the future. So please reach out to us if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.